Hey friends! Okay, so we are in our English language arts video, and our objective for this lesson is to learn about planning a trip and being engaged in an informational text. This is a more informal informational text, but it does still inform as to how you plan a trip. When you are going on a trip, you have to make a plan. How much money do you have to spend? What do you need to bring? Where are you going? How long will you be there? What activities will you do? Where will you sleep? What will you eat? And how will you travel? There are so many things to think about when you're going on a trip. Can we do this? Can we make all these decisions? Of course we can. We will just take it one step at a time. You guys know you can absolutely conquer anything. Just take the big problem, take the big task, and you just break it down into little steps, and we can handle anything. Okay, budget. We talked about this with our friend Keisha. A budget is when we have an amount of money that we have. We can't go over it because we don't have any more. Okay? So when you have a budget for your trip, that's all the money we have for our trip. You have to consider your travel, where you're going to stay, where you're going to eat, what kind of food you're going to eat, activities, everything comes out of that budget. Now you can take that budget and you can divide it up and you can say, oh, all right, I want to spend half of my money on the resort, if you're going to one of those kinds of places. Or I want to spend 25% of my budget on entertainment and activities. You can divide your budget up however you like, whatever works best for you and what you want from your vacation. But it's really important to have a budget so that you can have a really good vacation and it doesn't just stress you out. Because if you run out of money, you're not going to be having a very good time. But for our trip, since it's virtual, we get to spend all we want. And I didn't even have to get board approval. What do we need to bring? Since we're going to Europe, that means we're leaving the country. When you leave the country, oops, typo. When you leave the country, you need a passport. So the passport is a special document. It has your picture in it. It has different places where you've been. You need a passport anytime you leave the country in order to travel. You need to have one. And you can use a passport in the United States as a form of ID. The process to get a passport is the same in every state because it's a federal document. You have to fill out a special form called the DS-11 and mail it with a 2-inch by 2-inch picture and a copy of your birth certificate. There is a fee that has to be paid as well. Now, there are places that you can go in person to hand in your documents. But I wanted you to know also that you can mail it in, especially right now with all the virus stuff going on and a lot of places being closed. You can download from the internet that form, the DS-11, and you can fill it out at home, and then you can mail it in with your birth certificate and also that 2-inch by 2-inch picture. And a lot of places will take that picture for you. I know Walmart used to do it, and some pharmacies will even do it still. And a lot of places that do it, they advertise that they will. You can even call places and say, do you take passport pictures? Okay, now we have to know, where are we going? So when you're planning a trip, you have to know where you're going. That's kind of a big help. We know that we're going to the continent of Europe. We will go to the countries France, Italy, Belgium, Iceland, and Ireland. We will explore popular areas and historical monuments or cities in each country. So as we go through each country, we will learn about its history. It's going to be very, very exciting. How long will you be there? When you go on a real trip, you have to know how many days you will be away. If you have a job, you have to let your boss know how long you won't be there. You have to let your family know how long you're going to be gone as well for safety. Make sure that you count the days you will spend traveling. If you have a long distance to travel, you might be too tired to go to work or school the day after you get home. That's something important to think about. So make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to rest, because sometimes when you get back from a vacation, you feel like, I need a vacation from this vacation, because your body is just wiped out. So we will spend one day in each country from Tuesday, which is tomorrow, until next Monday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday. What activities will you do? We will do lots of different activities for different school subjects. I left out the word do, sorry guys. For each subject, we will complete activities that relate to the country that we are in that day. We will count, measure, read, experiment, and explore museums. Now, when you go on a real trip, the activities depend on where you're going. If you go to Orlando, you might go to Disney Worlds. If you go to Hawaii, you might just hang out on the tropical beaches. It all depends on where you're going. Where will you sleep? On a regular trip, you will sleep in a hotel. Or if you're on a cruise, you'll have a room right on the ship. Hotels are an adventure too. Some have pools inside so you can swim even in the winter, just like at school. Some hotels cost a little bit and others cost a lot of money. On our trip, you can still sleep at home. What will you eat? On a regular trip, how you eat fits into the budget we talked about earlier. It can be tricky to work out a food budget. Sometimes you don't really know how hungry you'll be, so it could be a little bit challenging to really narrow that part down and get yourself a good amount. Some vacations have meals included in their vacation package, and sometimes you can get what's called a meal plan, where you pay a certain amount of money and then you get to go in and get meals at certain times. For our trip, we will look at some common foods, but it's a little difficult to eat something that's on the computer. But I will post some recipes, so if you'd like to try them with your families, you can share those with everybody at home. How will you travel? How you travel depends on where you were going. When I was in Alaska, there were no roads, so we flew in really small, really, really small. Small, like I was sitting behind the pilot at one point, and I had the option of sitting next to the pilot, but I was too scared to get anywhere. If we were going to Europe in real life, we would have to fly because there's no road from North America to Europe. If we were traveling to Florida, we could take a train, bus, car, or plane. When I visit my grandma in Delaware, I drive to the ferry from New Jersey to Delaware, and then I drive the rest of the way to her house. I'm so sorry, guys. I made a mistake there. I drive to the ferry, and I take the ferry from New Jersey to Delaware, and then I drive the rest of the way to her house. I don't know what was going on when I was typing that one. Alright, I can't wait to take off and explore Europe with you guys. Tomorrow we will start in France. Don't forget to check out the other lesson videos to get ready for our big trip.